Welcome to the craziest and wildest AITA Reddit stories. From explosive family drama to shocking twists, these jaw-dropping tales will keep you hooked, questioning who's truly in the wrong. The first story for this collection is from LessBench3921. AITA for refusing to go to a meeting with the man who molested my wife when she was a child, and not being receptive to any sort of apology from him.
I met my wife in college, and we've been married for a little over 4 years now. After we got engaged, my wife told me there was something serious she needed to tell me before we got married. I learned that when she was around 6 years old, she was molested by her cousin, who was in 6th grade at the time. It went on for several months, and it didn't come out until her mom took her to a psychologist because she was acting out so much, i.e., wetting the bed, having meltdowns, fighting at school. I won't get into details, but the things he did were extreme and things that no young children should be subjected to. I actually got teary hearing about it, and it was the first time my wife had ever seen my cry. The cousin pleaded guilty to the crime in juvenile court, and it came out that he had also been molested as a child. The cousin served some time in juvenile prison and also got help for his issues. According to my wife, both he and his mother have taken responsibility and expressed genuine remorse. The cousin and my wife have had a few face-to-face meetings over the years, and he's told her repeatedly how sorry he is and how much guilt he feels for putting her in the position. He's also asked if there is anything he can do for her and has even offered to pay for her therapy, which my wife has declined. My wife has forgiven him and feels sorry about what he went through as a child, and also the intense guilt he feels for his actions. The families don't socialize or spend holidays together anymore because it's too painful for everyone involved, but I don't think there are bad feelings anymore. With that being said, my wife and her older brother are clear that they don't want their kids near him after what happened. My wife is actually a juvenile defense attorney now and represents a lot of young kids, like her cousin. She's great at her job and has a ton of empathy for the kids she works with. I can see how one would have empathy for kids who have been through a lot and then commit crimes, but it's much harder for me to be understanding towards my wife's cousin, since I've seen firsthand how much this has impacted her. She has night terrors sometimes, impulsively jerks when someone touches certain parts of her body, i.e. lower back, and had a lot of trouble enjoying when we first started dating. I'm glad that my wife has found peace and forgives her cousin, but I personally don't feel anything but rage when I think of him. Anyways, last night, my wife sat me down and told me she had something to speak with me about. Her cousin called her and expressed that he has a new girlfriend. He's been upfront with the woman about his history and about what he did to my wife when she was little. The woman now wants to have a conversation with my wife to better understand the situation, and my wife has agreed to meet them for coffee and describe what happened and how it's impacted her. My wife told me that she also wants to stress that her cousin took responsibility immediately, has expressed genuine remorse over the years, served his time without complaint, and has gone to therapy to work through his issues. My wife says she isn't trying to sway his girlfriend or tell her how to feel about it, but is instead trying to give her a complete picture of what happened. My wife asked if I would come too, because the cousin wants to have a conversation with me as well to express his remorse. He made this offer shortly after we got married, but I told my wife I wasn't in a place to be receptive to his apology. Once again, I told my wife that I'm probably not going to be receptive to an apology. I also said that if he's trying to convince his girlfriend that he's not a terrible person, I shouldn't be there because I'll definitely thwart his plans. My wife seemed confused and asked what I meant, and I said I'm pissed about what he did and can't sit back and listen to her describe what a model citizen he's been after, he raped her, and not lose my shit. My wife said that he's done everything right since the event occurred and asked what else I expect of him. I said I don't expect anything, but I don't want to be in the same room as someone who did such terrible things to her. My wife reminded me that he was a child at the time and was also being abused at home, and said we need to take those things into account when evaluating his moral culpability. I said that when I was in 6th grade, I wouldn't have dreamed of raping an innocent 6-year-old. I said that their cousin hurt her, and as her husband, there's nothing in my eyes that will ever change that. I also said I don't believe she truly thinks her cousin has changed, since she and her brother won't allow their children near the guy. My wife got teary and said that she'd never take any kind of risk with our children, even if she was 99.9% sure he'd changed. She also said I was making what happened about my feelings. She said she doesn't understand how I can't have empathy for a man who was abused as a child, made a mistake, and has since taken responsibility and made a genuine effort to make things right with his victim. I said I only care about her, and she said if I cared, I would at least try and see her perspective. My wife has been angry and distant with me all day. She seems to agree that I'm not in a good place to go to the meeting with the cousin, but she's frustrated by the things I said. Specifically, she doesn't like that I brought our girls into it and used her protective instincts against her. I'm not trying to override her feelings on the matter, but also, I think I have a right to have my own feelings towards the person who harmed her. AITA is not an AH for refusing to meet with a person who molested his wife in the past. OP's reaction is 100% justified. His wife just wanted to forgive him, but OP refused to meet him, which is absolutely right. As for scores, I would rate OP's wife 1, OP's wife cousin 3.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now move on to the next story. From FHXUA did IW. AITA for refusing to host Thanksgiving this year? I, 30F, and my darling husband, 30M, hosted last year my in-laws for Thanksgiving. It was a disaster. I am a nurse and work nights. I was exhausted. I was late making dinner. My DH's grandparents had to get fast food BC. I took too long to cook. My MIL was supposed to bring 3 sides, but she ended up bringing 1 frozen meatloaf that was about 6 inches long to feed 9 people. Essentially, she brought nothing to share. They came over, and at the end of the night they packed up all of our food and took it with them. We were under the impression they were putting the food in our fridge because that's what they said they were doing. We had absolutely no leftovers. Earlier this year, my husband's grandmother died after a 3-week hospital stay. I did everything I could to be there for MIL. I brought food, showed up every other day to spend time with Grandma, drove Grandpa back and forth to visit. When she passed, I bought MIL dress for the funeral. I checked in on MIL. Hubby and I drove Grandpa to the funeral. Ever since my MIL has been standoffish, I don't know why. I've run myself ragged to take care of her. Her own children don't check in on her as often as I do, or did. A week ago, she called me to ask about Thanksgiving dinner, and I told her I wasn't cooking. I was tired, I work a lot, 50 hours a week, and I don't appreciate people taking food they didn't cook out of my kitchen. She immediately started crying and telling me she lost her best friend. It's the first holiday season without her mom. She's sad. She's lonely. I told her tough luck. I'm tired of being taken for granted. She called my DH, who said he is staying out of it, but that now might not be the time for me to make a grand statement. AITA? Update. Last year I asked for help, but everyone either ignored me or gave some lame excuse like, I'm not good in the kitchen or I don't know how to cook. Meanwhile, they're sitting around while I'm running around the kitchen all day. After the meal? Same thing. They sit around chatting and drinking while I'm the only one cleaning up. So, this year, I said, enough is enough. I told them I'm not hosting Thanksgiving. I suggested someone else step up, or we could split the cost of catering. Cue the drama. My siblings flipped out, complaining about how it's tradition for me to host. My mom called me selfish, and my aunt said I was ruining Thanksgiving for the kids because they love coming to my house. Now, they're all upset with me, calling me lazy and saying I'm ruining the holiday. Honestly, I'm tired of being treated like their personal chef and cleanup crew every year, but now I feel guilty for putting my foot down. Edit. Thank you to everyone for your thoughts and opinions. I didn't expect so many responses, and I really appreciate the support and perspectives shared. It's been reassuring to know I wasn't being unreasonable in this situation. Thanks again. My MIL and I have not gotten along since the day we met. She is very traditional and feels that women should stay home and raise the children, and should always be quiet and reserved. The man is king of his castle, and the wife is subservient to him. I am the total opposite. While I was a saham until both of my children, 15 and 17, began elementary school, I enjoy working outside of the home and enjoy having a career. I am very outspoken, and my husband and I treat each other like equal partners in our relationship. I have hosted Thanksgiving at our home since our first year together. We have always invited my in-laws, and without fail, my MIL has found something to complain about every single year. From the food I cook to the clothes I am wearing, she has made some passive-aggressive comments. For example, I do not put the stuffing in the turkey when I bake it. I have never done that. My MIL makes comments about how dry the turkey is, because it isn't stuffed, and how she never would serve dry turkey to guests. Last year, she complained to my husband that I am not welcoming to them, that I am crass and rude and unladylike. My husband told her that if she was kinder to me and respected the fact that I am or never will be a traditional housewife, I would be kinder to her. That made her very upset, and she told him that she will never accept me as his wife. Last week, she called my husband and asked when we can expect them for Thanksgiving dinner. I told my husband that maybe this year we could just do it as a family, the four of us only, and that I really wasn't looking forward to yet another visit where his mother was constantly putting me down and insulting my home food clothing. He said that he agreed, but they are his only family, other than us, and it didn't feel right to not have them here.
I told my husband that I respected that they were his parents, but I just wanted 1 year where I could enjoy the holidays with my family without having to hide in the bathroom and cry. Update 2. After speaking to a Filipina friend of mine, reading everyone's comments and calming down, I decided to talk to MIL. She indeed did not mean to hurt my feelings or say anything with bad intentions. She really thought she was just complimenting me. She was very sorry for hurting me and wants to move on. She says she accepts me and loves me. Honestly, I've had a rough couple of months with unrelated issues, and I think her comments yesterday were just the straw that broke the camel's back. My boyfriend did get defensive when we talked about what happened, but he agreed to back me up if it happens again and talk to her about not mentioning my weight. He also supports me correcting her or letting her know if she's being rude in the future. As far as Thanksgiving, I decided that the family being together is more important than my hurt feelings. I do enjoy making it nice for everyone. We don't know how many years she may have left, and I think I can let this incident go for now. I'm not confident that she will change, but I can probably handle anything for a couple days a year. My partner and I have dated for a few years, lived together for 2. When I first met his mom, I was very nervous and wanted her to like me. I learned some customs that show respect and did them. I cooked meals from scratch for her that she loved. Holidays were hosted in our home. I would cook for days and serve the whole family, making sure every detail was perfect. Holidays were lovely. I never had times like that with my own family, and was grateful to the point of tearing up many times, not in front of my partner's family. My partner and I have a business that takes up much of our time, and hadn't seen his mother much lately, so I planned a day to pick her up, take her to a local coffee shop she enjoys, and to lunch. As soon as she saw me, she immediately commented that I had lost weight and complimented me multiple times, then asking to take selfies with me so she could post them on Facebook because I looked so pretty. I have had issues with eating disorders in the past, so the comments did make me feel weird, but I knew she was trying to compliment me, so I didn't say anything. We went to lunch and she wanted to take more selfies and was again complimenting my looks. She said, "You were okay before, but too overweight." I don't know why this hurt me, but it did. I blinked back tears, and the food came. I couldn't eat it, and found myself pushing food around, and only taking some bites of dry salad. My partner and mom ate, either not noticing that I wasn't really eating or not commenting on it. I did not want to cause a scene, because again, I knew she was trying to say something nice, but she is very blunt. She is not aware that I used to starve myself. She probably wouldn't have said it if she did. After lunch, she needed to go to the restroom, so I helped her. She's in her 80s and uses a cane but needs to be steadied. While she was washing her hands, she told me, "You know, I never liked you, but you're okay now." That did it. I couldn't hide the hurt anymore. I teared up and stammered awkwardly that her son would be right back to help her walk to the table. I went to the table and quietly told my partner I would take an Uber home, that I was upset about something his mom said, but I would see him at home. His mom tried to call me, but I decided not to answer. I guess the reason I'm feeling so upset is that I'm feeling like I'm only worth something if I'm thinner. I also thought she always liked me. She acted like she did. Now it all feels fake. I don't want to host Thanksgiving anymore. Why should I kill myself cooking for days for someone who only really liked me when I lost a few pounds? My partner thinks I'm overreacting, and I misunderstood her. He said it's normal for MILs to not like DILs at first, because we take away their sons. But I didn't take him away. He is the one who hasn't made an effort to spend much time with her. Every time we have seen her is because I organized it. But she's old, she's a blunt Asian mom, and she doesn't know I had eating disorders. So, am I the asshole for wanting to cancel Thanksgiving?
Should I just forgive her and suck it up so the family has a nice Thanksgiving together? Am I being a huge baby?
OP is not an AH for being frustrated with her dysfunctional in-laws. OP's refusal to host Thanksgiving and her insistence on not inviting her toxic mother-in-law to the party is 100% justified. So I would rate OP 0 and OP's mother-in-law 2 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump onto the next story of this chapter from Infinite-Minute 2004. AITA for losing it on my roommate for trashing my newborn's formula. I, 20F, rent a room from my roommate, 26F dad. She is a single mother. I'm a single mother. I have a 12-week-old baby who is exclusively on Nutramigen formula. For those who don't know, Nutramigen is really expensive, and the WIC I get barely covers the cost of formula and the fresh food I'm allotted to get with WIC. My daughter is so colicky and has never been happy since she was born. I know this sucks for my roommate and her own kid, who's 2. I do my best to keep my daughter calm and happy, but her doctor said she's just an unhappy baby and will grow out of it. I had to put her in daycare at 6 weeks old, and I currently work retail for barely above minimum wage, which is 7.25 USD in my state LMAO. So it's been a struggle. My roommate has some different parenting beliefs. Her kid still breastfeeds when they want to. She believes in delayed vaccines, is vegetarian, but wants to go vegan with her kid, etc. A lot of woo-woo stuff, which if it works for her and her kid, great. I literally stay in my room with my daughter 90% of the time because she tries to convince me that I'm doing things wrong. Like when my daughter spits up projectile vomits or has a blowout, should be giving her oatmeal baths instead of using baby Aveeno type LOL. To make a really long story short, she has never liked the fact I didn't want to breastfeed my daughter. I tried in the hospital and was told by a lactation consultant that it would be difficult. My daughter has a tongue tie and weak latch, and formula would probably be best. So onto formula we went. The similar formula the hospital gave me gave my daughter bloody. So her doctor had me try Nutramigen, and yay, it was something she can keep down 50% of the time. She still spits up or vomits, and my roommate will make comments about how if I breastfed, she wouldn't be so sick. I'm poisoning her with formula, etc. I just roll my eyes and try to avoid her in the common areas of her house. I get home today after working and my daughter is hungry, cries screaming her head off. Daycare worker said she refused her last bottle at daycare and she threw up on the car ride home. And I'm looking for her formula cans and can't find them. I just start yelling, where the f is her formula? Because my roommate likes to change around the kitchen items like groceries in the pantry or pots and pans, and it always stresses me out. My roommate walked into the kitchen and said she got rid of it. I yelled at her, "What the f do you mean you got rid of it?" She yelled back that she couldn't stand to see me feed my baby poison any longer and had to do something about it. She pointed to the trash can, and I opened it up and saw the powder in the trash where she had just opened up the formula cans and dumped them. I just lost my shit and screamed at her and told her she needed to replace my daughter's formula right the f now. Her dad pays her bills and he makes an extra 600 USD a month off me, not including utilities. I don't have mommy or daddy's tit to suck on and live off of. She started yelling back at me that I couldn't talk to her that way in her own house, and I had to go. I grab my daughter, who's still in her car seat, and start going to my room, where I can lock the door, and my roommate grabbed the car seat handle and tried to yank my daughter away from me. I yelled at her again to not touch my daughter and ended up locking us both in the room. After I calmed down a bit, I ended up calling my mom to see if I could borrow money to get my daughter more formula until I get paid next week. I explained everything to my mom, got angry all over again. My mom asked, why did I yell at my roommate, and I should have kept my composure better, and said I get what I deserve if I end up homeless with my daughter LMAO. I don't know anymore. I don't think I am, but my mom sure made me feel like one. I got to get TF out of here for both our sakes. AITA, edit. Since some of y'all want to be I know I should have kept my legs closed, LOL. My daughter's father pays 150 USD per month in child support and sees her once a week. It isn't much, but I'm grateful for what I can get. Don't need people on Reddit calling me names and shit. I feel bad enough for my situation in the fact I brought a baby into this world when I wasn't prepared. My daughter's doctor's office gave me 4 sample cans of her formula before they closed, which will last us a few days. I will be calling my WIC caseworker in the morning too to see if she can be of any help. Police report has been filed.
They suggested I call the National Domestic Violence Hotline as well, waiting to see if any of the shelters in my area have space for us both. Otherwise, I'm going to have to take money I don't have and get a hotel room because I can't stay here any longer. Called my roommate's dad again and explained everything. He said he can't help me because he has to look out for his daughter first LMAO. Said if I don't pay rent on the first of deck, he's filing eviction papers. I'm ready to say good riddance anyways, TBH. I'm tired and scared and angry. I have to go to work tomorrow and try and figure all of this out on my own. I can't even call out if I wanted to, because if I call out, I don't get paid, and I need the money more than ever right now, LOL. I'm gonna see if her dad will take her for a day or two, but I'm not hopeful on that either, because he's never had any real alone time her. If it weren't for the court-ordered child support, he wouldn't pay anything at all.
Edit 2. One women's shelter won't have space for us until the weekend, but the worker I spoke to said we have a spot available as soon as it comes up. Here's hoping I can survive wacko roommate for a few more days and maybe get my money back for the all formula she wasted. OP is not an AH, and her frustration for her baby's well-being is 100% justified. OP's roommate is an AH for being intrusive and criticizing. OP just took a stand for her baby, nothing else. As for scores, I would rate OP's roommate 3.5 out of 5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump onto the last story of this chapter from the disastrous-eb 3543. AITA for gifting only one of my daughters a maternity photo shoot. I, 53F, am a single mother of 2 daughters, Claire, 26F, and Ava, 17F. They are currently both pregnant. Claire is nearly 7 months along and Ava is 4 months. Claire is married and her baby was planned. Ava's on the other end was a complete shock to all of us. She keeps saying it was an honest mistake, but she seemed so overjoyed about the news that I'm almost suspicious if she's telling the truth. Obviously, it's too late now, so the only thing we can do is keep marching forward. I was severely disappointed, but she decided to keep her pregnancy, and I will support her choice. I'll look after the baby anytime I can, at least for the first several months, as long as she and her BF finish school and get jobs. I work from home, so I know I can do it. This is so they'll be able to some money by avoiding daycare costs. A little over a week ago, Claire came to visit me and brought up maternity photo shoots. She said she'd love one, but the professional ones can cost a lot, and she wanted to save as much money for the baby as possible. She seemed truly disappointed, and I found myself offering to pay in full for her to have one. She offered to at least pay for a part of it, but I insisted it'll be an early birthday gift for my granddaughter, and told her not to worry about it. Turns out that Ava overheard us and came to me later asking for one as well. I offered to ask her sister if she could possibly pose in a couple shots at her shoot. Ava didn't like that idea. She said she wants a different background style than her sister. Plus, she wanted to wait to do it until her pregnancy bump is more obvious. She wants a complete photo shoot of her own. I decided to be blunt and just tell her I wouldn't pay for her to have a professional photo shoot. I wouldn't even lend her part of the fee. Her and her BF will have to come up with the money on their own if they want a nice, fancy photo shoot. She seemed shocked and became angry at me. She yelled how it wasn't fair that Claire gets a fully paid pro photo shoot when I wouldn't even partially help her pay for one. She insisted I'm already favoring one grandchild over the other. She even began to cry. That is absolutely not true. Claire's photo shoot is going to be a few $100s, if not more. But it's the only cost I'm helping her with. Her and her husband are covering all other baby expenses on their own. With Ava, it's a given I'll be the one paying for the majority of the baby stuff. Crib, diapers, etc. Ava and her BF will contribute what they can, but it won't be a lot. I love both my daughters, but don't want to pay a huge amount twice when I'm already helping Ava out so much. This photo shoot is the only gift help Claire has let me give her throughout her pregnancy, so this is important to me. I'd be happy to help Ava find a pretty place and take pictures of her own, but she ignored me when I suggested that. Ava is still giving me the silent treatment. I told my sister about everything, and she said she understood why Ava was so upset. To her, it seems totally unfair that I won't give this special gift to both my daughters, no matter what I'm already paying for.
She pointed out how it's definitely possible for me to rework my budget to afford both photo shoots. It would be a bit tough, but totally doable. My sister says it looks like I'm only giving Claire a fully paid photo shoot as some sorts of punishment for Ava, since she got pregnant so young. Some of my friends agree with me, but the rest agree with what my sister said. I've just been so stressed over Ava's pregnancy. I'm thinking it might be clouding my judgment. AITA, TLDR. Both of my daughters are pregnant. One of them is still a teenager. I will be almost entirely supporting my teen with the baby costs. I've decided to gift my other daughter a fully paid pro-maternity photo shoot. My teen also wants one, but I don't want to just pay it for her since I'm already paying for so many of her baby stuff. I won't even lend her part of the money. Is that unfair? AITA? OP is not an AH here for prioritizing her budget and treating her daughters differently based on their circumstances. OP daughter is overreacting here.